You know what time it is. But for this week's shout out, I want to do something a little different again and give some viewer appreciation to the ninja Chef T. Chef is definitely a huge supporter of the community and just a chill dude. So this was not a paid advertisement for the Cali Brick Clique, but 2 whoop salute to my ninja chef. Man, Instagram is giving me real boomer energy.
Wow. I know the feeling.
Yeah, I was like, what is going on with all this technology, man?
In 5, 4, 3. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to episode 67 of Cali Brick Clique. And like always, before we get right into it, you can find every single episode in our previous episodes. I think are the same redundant phrase. And anywhere you find your podcast, Spotify, iHeart, Apple Podcasts, and where have you. Or also on YouTube. And like always, we have Ninja with the Bricks.
Yeah, I made it. I'm here.
Yeah, he had us going an hour later. Claire, the Plastic Architect.
Hey.
And once again, we are bringing Dan back to Cali Brick Clique, but this time his first time actually on the channel. The last time he was on here, we had these episodes kind of scattered amongst ourselves. So now that we've all brought everything together, which most of you don't know any difference, welcome back, Dan.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Before we get into Dan, how's everyone doing these past couple days? Because we kind of filmed late last time. It's only been a couple days since we saw each other.
Yeah, it's only been like 2 days. Good.
I know.
Yeah.
I've been good. Yeah.
Well, Claire did a little bit of traveling as always. She's back.
Mm-hmm. We went and saw a friend of ours in like Central California and saw like the big sequoias, which are really beautiful, and then organized his Lego room. So yeah, and we're traveling service. You can hire us for.
I'm sure that should be a video amongst himself. Like
we did not film any of it because it was fun and we were just having a good time. But we do get paid in retired Indiana Jones Lego sets.
Like which ones?
No. He actually gave us a couple of those gifts.
Like last time?
Previously, yeah.
Okay. So this is an ode favor.
He bought us dinner. Yeah.
That's fair. I mean,
he also has he has a really like small parts collection, which is like really nice, and it was like almost nostalgic. Like sorting it, I was like, oh, I remember when I could have a drawer for like all my curved pieces or something like that, or like all, so it was really nice. And he had like more storage like drawers than he had parts. Like he had it separated where like all his like single like studs was like red, orange, yellow.
It was like,
and I was like, oh, okay, wow. Yeah, there's like that much space. So it was pretty easy, to be fair.
You're like, is this an empty drawer? What is this?
Yeah, I know. Well, so no, he had them all full. He had about 4 drawers full of just like black 2x4 bricks. And I was like,
hey, everybody needs black bricks.
I was like, why do you need 4 drawers of this? Just like put it in a bin somewhere else. Just like back up. So yeah, it was really fun. It only took like 4 or 5 hours. So.
Oh, okay. Well, I took a break from making videos for about a week. So I didn't do anything. I just kind of spent my days working a lot and watching Vikings. I'm like super hooked into that show right now, and I'm like almost done. I think when I'm done, I'll start doing something. But I'm really like entrenched in a TV show. It's on Peacock, I guess. But like,
counts,
yeah. I've just been like watching television, and like doing work. I haven't really done much as far as social media is concerned, which has been refreshing and a nice little break.
Yeah, it's nice to get some fresh air, quote unquote, if you will.
Yeah, definitely. But speaking of like a mass set of drawers of Lego, Dan, how like massive is like the design? Because you're in a design room right now. Like, how massive is your part collection over there?
Well, we actually have 2 collections in the design room. So we have a duplicate collection. So we have tackle boxes for everything. Let's just say a file. We have flat lateral files. So a double size, a 4-foot wide drawer filled with tackle boxes. That's typically a color, but like colors that are extensive, they would have 2 drawers of tackle boxes, like black or gray, dark gray, light gray. Mm-hmm. Potentially all the main Lego colors would be a whole drawer or 2. And I want to say it's about 20 drawers for each collection. So there's my collection, and then there's the design room collection. So it's just I started mine first, and then we made a duplicate collection so that the other designers would be able to, I could take my tackle boxes into another room, and they wouldn't be without bricks. So we're just basically having 2 bricks, 2 collections. So nice. I don't know, maybe like 400 to 500 tackle boxes. They're like the Plano tackle boxes. Wish I had one, but what spiders?
Like, how do you organize those?
It's by the Bricklink system, really. So we have it by color first, and then it'll be like, okay, here's my bricks, my plain bricks bin, my plain plates, and then I have modified plate 1, which is all the 1x modified plates, modified plate 2, which is the 2x. Then there's 3x, 4x, panels, tiles, modified tiles, slopes, 4 different slope bins. You've got steep slopes, 45 slopes, shallow slopes, and then curve slopes. Multiple Technic bins. So it's all broken down.
It gets intricate, yeah.
God. I think Claire needs to see this.
I would love it. That sounds really fun. Yeah,
Well,
I love seeing different organization systems and like thought process, because like, you know, some people organize by part and then by color. It's literally a combination of like how your brain works and then like how
It has one.
how like what you're producing out of it too, I think.
Well, it's a matter of like being able to go and say, I need this piece. I know exactly where it's going to be,
Right.
and then going and finding. So this is the tackle boxes. These Plano bins.
Okay.
With the dividers in it. So this is
Those are great.
this is plates. This is one of my older ones. It's so like old and dirty. It's kind of opaque now. You used to be able to see through it, but it's also black parts, which makes it hard. But I have these. So this is plates. Imagine I have one of these bins for almost every color Lego. So about 40 of these just for 1x and 2x plates. And there's another bin for 4x, 3x and above plates. It breaks down for every color, everything. So there's a bin. If there's a part, there's a compartment for it.
Right. And it's proven efficient, basically.
Yeah, you got to be prepared to walk though. So if you want a part, it's such a big collection, you have to go walk to the end of the room to go find.
And mixing in exercise with it.
Yeah. Or if you really want to build something big, grab all the bins you need, stack them up.
There you go. Yeah.
So like once your sets are done, rendered, ready to like go, the design set needs to be broken down and thrown back in there, right?
No, in fact, our prototype kits are on display at the Brickmania GHQ store. So when you walk into one of our stores, you see one of those display models.
Yeah.
Typically, those are a production model. We'll pull one off the assembly line, which is assembly line is kind of a joke, but because we hand make everything. But we'll take one of our actual sets, put it together, test build it, make sure all the parts are there, and that becomes one of the display models. But the prototype gets built to the instructions. We wait until we have extra duplicate printed pieces or whatever it needs, minifigs, and then we'll rebuild it, and then it goes on display permanently at GHQ. So sometimes the GHQ store copies will have scratches because the bricks won't be new entirely. They some of our models stay forever, and we don't like to break things down, essentially because those old pieces, they age well together, and we don't want to use older bricks in our collection because they have different clutch too.
Yeah,
so that makes sense. So it's been like almost a year since we last, well, not necessarily, I saw you like a month and some change ago, but like but officially on here, it's been like a year since you've been on here. What has Brickmania done since then? It looks like you've been seriously busy.
Yeah, well, we've been trying to open stores. I mean, we've been wanting to open stores on the West Coast for years. And I've been going out there since 2017, 2018, looking at spaces. We were going to do it in 2020, but then COVID got in the way. So that all got pushed off. And Brickmania kind of contracted around that time. We circled our wagons and just tried to keep sets going while the lockdown was happening, keep production going. And then once things started getting a little bit more open again, we wanted to pick up where we resumed. So going to open these stores in California was something that was like, well, this might be a realistic time to do it. So I started looking again in the fall at spaces, and we found some spaces. That one space at Miramar, kind of by accident. We were looking at someplace downtown in San Diego, and then found the space across the street from the Marine Air Station. It's like, oh, this is perfect. Decided to get that store going, and as an afterthought, started looking at other places in California and found that storefront in Vallejo that I absolutely fell in love with. Decided, well, we'll just open 2 stores at once, because that sounds easy.
I mean, it's also kind of smart because San Diego's on the very tip southern of California. It is good to kind of at least help out your fans who are north of us to be able to travel to, Vallejo, California. But how has that process been? It looks like you've been traveling extensively.
Yeah, I mean, part of the setting up the stores is setting, actually physically setting them up, putting the display cases together, hiring staff, of course, and getting the stores ready to have product put into it. And we learned from experience opening our other stores that you cannot reliably ship a glass display case across the country without it breaking. And I don't know how these the shipping companies even survive, and the companies that make these things, because we've had like the same display case shipped from, warehouse A to our store in say Minneapolis like 4 times, and every time it comes broken and they send another one. And we stopped doing that. It's not because we like driving, it's just like we maybe want to get these stores open on a deadline. So I actually twice now, we've driven from Minnesota out to California, once with a load of display cases, and then some more were actually shipped to a warehouse in Nevada where I picked them up. So I just recently did a second trip out to from Sparks, Nevada to Vallejo to San Diego, drop off a dozen of these gigantic 6 foot tall display cases.
I wonder who's been driving more this past year, Claire or Dan?
For sure, Dan. For sure. What are you talking about? For sure, Dan.
I actually haven't driven all that much. I didn't do the cross country trip. That was too much.
I did that last year, but we did it just once and stuff. But yeah, no, you guys are doing it for business. Very different.
No, but it is cool to be, I saw the store already, obviously, but I'll be there this weekend, which we can get into in a second. But it is pretty surreal to like come out. I can only imagine, because I haven't seen it completely open yet, but like to walk out with like an Osprey, for example, and then see Ospreys like literally flying around outside the store. That must be a pretty cool feeling.
Well, I flew out in like December, I think, to look at the store, and met the real estate agent who was representing the landlord. And I was waiting for him to show up. He was late, of course. I was on time. I had to come all the way from Minneapolis to the store. He only had to come like 10 minutes, but he was like half an hour late. I just stood up on the balcony overlooking the store, and you could see the airbase there, and you could see all the different aircraft warming up, flying around. I was like, well, this is the perfect location. So.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, yeah, you're also surrounded by a number of large marine bases.
Yep.
29 Palms, Camp Pendleton. If anybody's going to drive down California to this location, you will drive through Camp Pendleton. It's going to be like a range of bare green mountains on the left, and then ocean on the right. And you'll most likely see some things happening, whether it be Humvees driving around, to crafts landing from the ocean, to helicopters flying around. It's actually pretty cool. It makes you feel really, really safe.
Yeah.
and then but a lot of people don't know the 2 bases that are kind of more inland, like in the desert, 29 Palms, which is where we do a lot of our desert stuff. And then we have Miramar, the air station. So like the entire 3rd Marine Air Wing lives there. So like all Ospreys, all the F-18s, like everything. Yeah,
right across the road. In fact, one of those F-18 mechanics works in our store. So,
that's
nice.
perfect.
So the day job is fixing jets for F-18s, and the weekend job is slinging kits at Brickmania.
I mean, yeah, I think it was a very smart decision. But why Vallejo? I'm just curious.
Well, we've been looking at the Bay Area. I mean, there's a couple of these big mall companies, properties. They've been trying to like wine us and dine us to bring us into like, some of the more touristy places in the Bay Area and LA too. And our experience at those mall locations is that it's a lot of tourists. You get a lot of foot traffic, but you don't really sell a lot of your kits. And it frustrates your actual hardcore customers, because they have to pay like downtown parking prices or have to fight the mall crowds to get to your store. So we've actually made a shift away from those things and trying to get off the beaten path a little bit. All of our other stores are outside of malls, or have at least their own parking where you can park outside and you not have to fight the usual hordes of crowds or tourists to get to. I was turned on to Vallejo by some friends of mine that live in the Bay Area. They just moved out there. They're like, it's everything else is too expensive. Let's get out of downtown San Francisco or Oakland or whatever. We're going to go to Vallejo. And I went and checked it out. I was like, well, this is actually a pretty cool idea. It's not too far fetched. So Vallejo is like, it's a small town on the north end of the bay, but it's also the home of Mare Island Naval Shipyard, which closed 15, 20 years ago, but still has a huge footprint there. It is still a functioning shipyard. There still are some like Naval Reserve ships and museums, and there's this huge history of the U.S. Navy being there. It's the first shipyard on the west coast of the U.S. Navy. So it's active for 100 years.
Six Flags is also there, so there's like always there's always like people moving in and out, and there's like a bunch of other, like a lot of people live there, and there's also like ferry access and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, the ferry terminal is like 3 blocks from our store. So you can take a ferry from downtown San Francisco, end up at our store, stop by the Mare Island tap room, the brewery tap room right there. Work your way up our street until you're nice and ready to warmed up and ready to buy a huge kit and bring it home.
And the Arizona is currently there, right?
The Missouri.
Oh, Missouri, sorry.
Yeah. The
one of the battleships.
Yeah. Yeah, the Missouri's there. We set it up there. I mean, that ship is a little bit too big to be built at Mare Island. They did a lot of stuff in World War II. They built the USS California there, but that was the last big capital ship that was built there.
Do you plan on docking them there forever, or are they going to be rotating throughout?
They will rotate. It's just that these stores out in the California, we're pushing. After we got the GHQ store, it's about 3,000 square feet. We decided that was the sort of the plan that we wanted. We can do in-store events, activities, guest builds, guest displays, have lugs do their meetings there and stuff. So the stores in California are both really big. They're both at least 3,000 square feet. I think Vallejo is like 4,500 square feet. It's big. It's a big store. So we're going to bring big displays and put them up in our stores. We've had the Missouri in our store in Minneapolis here for a couple of years now. So we decided we're just going to move it out to California so we don't have a big empty space in the store. And they'll rotate around. So I'm working on the USS Macon Island right now, and hopefully that will be docked at the Miramar store after World War break. So sometime after June, I'll be driving out there and dropping off a ship.
Completed, done, no more additions to it?
No, well, we'll see. I'm hoping.
What do you see these stores actually doing for Brickmania? Because when I used to work for Lego, like the point of the Lego store wasn't necessarily to sell Lego. It's to kind of inform the public about the brand and yada yada yada, and kind of like if the customer buys Lego, cool. If they don't, they don't. I mean, that attitude kind of shifted recently to actually sell like maybe a year ago, since there are so many Lego stores now. But with Brickmania like being very small within the community, like as far as known like thought, and being a niche thing on the side, I am curious to see like if they are essentially sustainable.
Well, we have a lot of that sort of like, hey, we're going to control the environment that we sell our product in. Mm-hmm. The same thing that Lego is doing. Let's just have a store that features our product. Whether or not we actually sell something is immaterial. Of course, we don't have the deep pockets that Lego does, so we do have to sell some product.
Yeah.
Our stores were successful when they were tiny shoe boxes and just sold Brickmania stuff. But the community itself is actually much bigger than just Brickmania. So we sell, Eclipse Graphics, we sell other companies, and getting out of these small shoebox stores has allowed us to do that. And we also, we're a toy store when it comes down to it. So Brickmania stuff is really expensive. It's toys for like, middle-aged men who drive BMWs.
This guy.
Yeah. Toys are models. We'll say models.
They're models. But it still has that toy quality. So kids can relate to it. But kids can't afford a $300 to and above $100 set to build, like casually build. So we're starting to bring in other brands. And it was just like, hey, let's just make this a toy store. So we have toys for kids of all ages. We're slowly bringing in, there's this whole Brickmania brand thing, this historic military stuff. So of course that's going to stay, but we're also like, well, let's do stuff that appeals to people that maybe aren't completely focused in on that. So we're slowly bringing in other things as well.
Yeah, Nerf guns and Colby, and then you got 40K, which I love. So I'm happy to see that there. How's the game shop or Games Workshop like been panning out for you guys?
It's okay. I mean, the thing is, it's good. I shouldn't say it's okay. It's been better than I expected, considering how saturated the hobby and game market is. Mm-hmm. It's sort of like we can't like ever expect to be, hey, we're the game source for this entire area, unless you're Vallejo, because then we're the only game place in all of it. I mean, in Minneapolis, there's in the Twin Cities here, there are huge game stores. We'll never be able to compete with on a level that they're playing on. Their stores are as big as our warehouse, and comic stores, things like that. So what we basically want to do is make a really well-rounded store that when you walk in, there'll be something for everybody. And we're going to start working on even like we're trying to get like Brio. We're having a hard time getting them to take us seriously. That maybe we're not big enough, or they don't want to be selling stuff side by side. But I'd like to get some Brio stuff. I'd like to get Playmobil. I'd like to get, and even just like wooden toys, stuffed animals, just stuff that's quality. I think it should be quality first. And something I would want to play with, something I'd want my kids to play with. I don't want people to leave that because they're disappointed. They came like to the Lego store and they couldn't afford anything, so they left empty-handed. I don't want to be that store.
I mean, going back a little bit with the whole Game Workshop thing, I think it was smart because there is another branch of this Lego community that does a lot of modding and painting, and the Citadel paints, which Games Workshop pretty much uses, I think, is what a lot of them use. Am I correct? So to have modders openly come into your store, buy the military stuff like the brick arm, the little things that they want to break up and stuff like that,
Right.
and then have the paint with them to like accessible as well, to include like brushes, all kind of stuff, I thought was a genius move.
Well,
When I saw that happen, I didn't know if that was intentional or not, but I was just like, oh, okay, that kind of having that, incorporating the modders in the Lego community is
It also lets people see that stuff that didn't know about it. Because like I went to a game shop also. I never knew about Warhammer and like
dude.
40K and stuff. And I had seen it. I was like, this is kind of interesting,
Yeah, man,
Just like-
it's pretty serious. Like I got a Space Wolf in front of me. It's like
Oh,
I used to
yeah.
play this. This was my nerd in like the high school days when I used to paint these armies on the side. But that's why I was like, oh yes, they're doing. But like Games Workshop is also opening up a bunch of stores in LA and local areas, so it's good to kind of grab a piece of that too to help out the store business and stuff like that. But it's also good to know that you're also looking at this as a toy store, and then Brickmania being a piece of that toy store.
Right. So Brickmania is our brand. There's going to be people that will
Yeah.
come to see Brickmania in a Brickmania environment, but it's also like, well, while you're here, check out all these other cool
Right.
hobbies. So we want to get scale models. We want to do quality stuff. Tommy, there's other brands that I'd like to bring in. It's just a matter of time. There's only a couple of us here that are actually doing the inventory, stocking the stores. So it's not our primary focus at this point. It's sort of maybe when we get more stores, we have more clout to to wield with these companies and say we'll buy a bunch of stuff from you guys.
I mean, and not to change your subject, but would you be open? Because like Lego won't do this, and they won't get into like modulars as far as ideas and all that kind of stuff. They like pushed out all the way. Would you do like things for city builders? Like you've done castle before, and you still do. So what about like city modular buildings?
Well, I'm not sure. I wouldn't say no. I mean, we do we have our own thing, like the whole Randoverse, which is actually a modular system that we're
Yeah, I love
slowly
that.
building up. But it's sort of what we have to do is be able to commit to doing a set. Say, can we sell 50 of this within the first 30 days? Because it's a huge outlay of cash. We have to buy all the bricks from Lego well in advance, or wherever we're getting it. Mostly when we're buying from Bricklink, but whoever we're paying for is not going to give us the parts on credit and say, hey, we'll pay you back after we sell this stuff. We have to buy it up front. So we try to go with things that we think we can sell 50 copies at least within the first 30 days, because that'll help us be able to return the money back into making more stuff. So there's nothing off the table, but we can go and look historically what would be the easiest return for us to make, and that's usually where our money is going to go. And right now, it's modern military stuff, be it fighter jets or armored vehicles or minifigures. And minifigures are probably the easiest thing for us to sell, but they're also the hardest thing to make. So there's so much technology that goes into that printing and the 3D sculpted parts, and then 3D sculpted parts that are then printed. So it's not easy for us to ramp up on those things. Kits are a different matter. As long as we have hands to put together sets, we can make kits. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I know I don't want to like appear that I'm attacking, but I know a lot of people have been circulating this question for the past I don't know, a couple months. But like the Brickmania price increase, has that been like something like you can address?
Minifigures.
Yeah, and no, just minifigures or I know the sets make sense because you're introducing prints. There's barely any stickering left for the minifigures. That would be kind of cool to kind of tell the people like why things have been getting so expensive.
The interesting thing about the sets is that we haven't actually everything we do is a formula, and by percentages we haven't raised the percentage. So when we make a set, so like me or one of the other designers that we work with, the in-house people are a little bit more aware of what they're doing as far as buying parts that are relatively cheap. But we used to make a point of like, hey, let's only use cheap parts. Let's use stuff that is easy to get, or we'll cut some corners. If you notice that some of our older models were a little bit lighter weight, that they weren't built as sturdy, That was intentional, so we wouldn't be using such expensive parts or building it so densely. We hear feedback from our biggest critics, and usually the biggest critics are the ones with the biggest wallets. They'll buy a bunch of stuff, they'll build it, say I didn't like this, they'll give you feedback, and a lot of the feedback was build it sturdier, build it, don't cut the corners, do the printing, we'll pay extra. So every printed part is a process. Every process we have to put a dollar value on it, so it's part of that markup formula. We're doing more higher quality kits. There's more parts to it. More parts mean more money. More printing means more cost. So then that goes onto the price. And the basic formula that we use for our markup hasn't changed, I think, since 2010. So we're on 12 years with our same markup. It's just the number of processes we're doing is gone up. So, like, let's say we do a figure. It's a good example of why a figure that used to cost $25 now costs $35. We're doing a heck of a lot more to get those figures. So let's say, 10 years ago, we would make 100, well, not 10, 5 years ago, we'd make 100 of a figure at a time. We could probably find 100 blank torsos. Don't have to buff them or anything like that. But nowadays, we're making in such vast quantities that we've already bought out all the cheap supplies of figure parts. We've already bought all of the blank figures. Now we have to go buy other figures that cost more. Maybe the figure that cost us $1 last year cost us $2 or $2.50. Then we have to take that same figure. Now we have to buff the printing on it that Lego has put on it. So that's another process. We have to figure that into our cost. So that's a process. And then let's say we used to print just the front and the back of the torso. And we could print the legs and the back of the leg from the back of the legs together at the same time. Sometimes even put the head on it, print all that at once. Now we're printing all those things individually, separately, and then we're printing the sides of the legs, under the arms. You have to take the arms off, print the arms, put them back on, and so we're like, well, it's if each of those are a process, each of those are going to cost money. If we have to pay somebody to do it, and it takes time, one of our full printed minifigs. I think we can probably make 200 to 300 in a day with having our full crew working on it. So we can't even make more than maybe with all of our equipment running at full speed, we could probably do 2,000 minifigs in a week. That's 12 hours a day printing.
I mean, so I just got the what's her? I'm gonna restrain from saying her real name, but her.
Okay.
When I was looking at her, and I guess I failed to kind of really appreciate this in the past, but the 360-degree printing around the head, I would presume that takes a lot of work.
Well, we actually have a printer attachment. It's works like a hot dog roller, so you can put cylinders in it. Yeah, it's horizontal. Like, say when you go to 7-Eleven and they got the hot dogs warming up. So we put a bunch of heads together into a cylinder, and then it'll as it moves through the printer, it actually rotates the cylinder. So, but it's super slow. We can do 10 heads at a time, and about every 15 or 20 minutes, somebody's got to go over there and put another 10 heads in it, hit the go button, and we can only print maybe 200 to 300 a day. It takes that long, so we can't do that on every figure. And if we were to buy that particular attachment for all of our printers, and we have to get the certain printers that can do it. Not all these printers that we use can do it. That's like a $5,000 attachment added onto a $45,000 printer.
And that answers the question right there to why your minifigures have been going up.
Yeah, well, and it's just they're improving. And people are asking, hey, can you print on the inside of the legs too? I'm like, well, that's another process that are already expensive enough.
Man, well, they are coming out well. And in relation to the minifigures, not to change the subject, but we've done a lot for the whole Ukrainian war thing. So how much have you guys raised so far?
I think as of yesterday, the official count was 53,000, just north of 53,000. Right. But that's as of yesterday. It's actually as of the day before yesterday, because we have to wait till the end of a day to do a tally. So I haven't figured out what it is today. Tomorrow is another release day, so we'll probably be significantly more by the end of the week. So it seems like we're going up about $10,000 a week.
Nice.
That we're raising.
And your goal for this is to push out until the war is over, or I don't know how
people stop buying the stuff. So the figures are more expensive because the first batch we released, we're just going to give a cut that would be if the approximate what we would pay in a royalty or what we would do, and they're that's not enough money. We're not raising enough money fast enough. Mm-hmm. So we decided to start padding on extra dollars. We can't afford to just print I got a whole, payroll of people we got to pay. They're not going to come in here for 40 hours a week and work for volunteering or volunteer their work. So we have to pay everybody. So we do have certain fixed costs. So we just said, okay, well, we'll cover all of our costs. We'll make sure that we're not losing money. And then we can take all the excess, and then that's all donated. So we actually raised the prices on some of them. The figures are between $50 and $60 now.
Yeah.
Some of the artwork we're getting, some of the stuff has been donated. We've been recycling a lot of stuff. So, fortunately we have an extensive library, of artwork that we can pull from. But, we've never done Ukrainians before. So a lot of this equipment that we're using, it's either Russian or it's maybe some sort of unique special item. And poor Landon has to research it and draw it all. And then we've done some other figures. I mean, it's kind of just making up stuff as we go. But of course, not everybody's going to sit in here and work for free on this. We still have to do there's a labor cost.
Yeah, no, I mean, it entirely makes sense. Like, not to throw like Joe in here, but with Citizen Brick, like he upcharged his figs significantly, and no one batted an eye. No one batted an eye. But when you guys do it, there's criticism.
Well, of course. I mean, there was people that were mad that we wouldn't be transparent about our pricing. Like, well, I don't want to do that because there's already so much speculation about what we do and ideas about what our stuff costs. And people that are uneducated, a lot of teenagers don't know anything about really running a business and what that entails. And when you're dealing with regulation, dealing with taxing and
just overhead in general.
Right. And we're not paying our employees minimum wage. These are skilled workers, and we're not exploiting people. We're not buying, sweatshop parts. It's all the real deal. So, and we consider what we put out as to be a work of art. And if you're expecting a work of art to be really, really inexpensive, then maybe you need to be buying copies, not the real thing.
Get the reprints.
So, but the Joe had a really unique. I love what he was able to do. He made his first batch. It was probably like 100, 150. Paying for it with using parts he probably already had in his inventory, and just doing it. And then that got picked up by the media. I think it was picked up by an official Ukrainian website. So he decided he was going to pull out the stops and do whatever he could to make more. And he kind of rode the wave of publicity. Did an amazing job. He raised so much money in a short period of time. It's kind of incredible. He was probably able to turn like raw materials worth like $5,000 to $6,000 into $140,000. That's amazing.
Nice.
Shout out to him for that.
Do that. I mean, we can't do that with kits. Just they're too involved, too expensive.
No, but like I remember him also posting up, after the figs sold out for him, like somebody was already trying to sling it on eBay for like a dumb amount of money, and he was just like, really, like this is not. No one buy from this person right now. I will make more.
It's the same thing has happened to us. There was our figures were going for like $300, $400 on eBay, and we're like, we're just going to keep making them. So don't be fooled. We do have more of everything in the pipeline, and there's more new stuff coming out. We don't have an endless supply, but as long as people are still interested and we can tack on some extra money, we'll just specifically for benefit purposes. And I think we're going to exclude them from sales. I feel weird about offering stuff for sale. I did a little test coupon this weekend and said, hey, if you take, I'll give you this coupon, and in exchange for this coupon, if you make a donation to the fund for the money you're saving, that would be great. I had 25 takers on the coupon, and I think a single one of them, maybe one or two, actually donated the difference. So I'm not going to ever do that again. So there's not going to be any discount for the benefit stuff. No coupons.
Makes sense. Why would you do that? In relation to minifigures and criticism, we haven't been seeing like real bad publicity against Brickmania within the past year. At least I've been oblivious to it, or maybe I just stopped caring so much. But you've done some things that are pretty new within this year. You've brought in new people into the design team, and how do you think that's been playing out as far as your stance in the community?
Well, we had a very public and I think misunderstood separation between Brickmania and one of our designers, and I think perhaps the silence of that person not speaking out kind of encourage speculation about, oh, there's, something's rotten at Brickmania if this person's leaving. So that fed some of the community trolls. We kind of just didn't want to address it, and I think it made it even worse. But what we did do is we did hire, even before that, we had another designer come on, Mary, and then we've had some of the other people from the Brickmania team that were sort of in the background, pulled them into the design team. They were natural fit, and it was time to add some new blood. They weren't really new blood for us because they already worked here, but they were people that were like ready to go. They were designers in the wings, and pulled like Brennan and Nate in. That was a really good thing. But more importantly, we opened up, started talking to some of the people in the community and said, hey, we like your designs. I really want to put one of your things out. You guys are doing what I would like to be doing. Can we just put out your kit as a Brickmania, or your design as a Brickmania kit? And started reaching out to some community designers, and that really took off. That was actually hugely popular and it took a lot of the wind out of the sails of the design. The critics that were saying, "Hey, you guys don't, you think you're so special, and you can dictate what the community's building, or you're the only people that know how to build stuff." It's sort of unfounded criticisms, and I was like, well, let's just have the community build. And if people are into it, we'll just keep doing it. We're like on our second year now of having outside designers. In fact, we're just kind of inundated with people throwing ideas and stuff at us. And I finally had to say, hey, there's a process. We'll come find you. Hang on. Don't just keep offering me ideas. So all the designs we have coming out in 2020, the year 2022, are actually designs that we agreed upon with our design team last year. And then sometime at the end of this year, we'll start working on what we're going to do for 2023. Some of those will be from the community. Some will be from the Brickmania design team. But we want to have like a bridge to the community. Have designers from other countries. Designers from other hemispheres, other continents. So Asian designers, European designers, Latin American designers. So it's all going to happen. It's just a matter of time.
It's smart, because I've been seeing all these other designers who have a little community amongst themselves, and some of them larger communities amongst themselves, all like specialize in their own thing. Like ASAP, like he does, stop motion, but he,
Right.
he's pretty big in the modding world. So like, having them participate into this, it expands your community's like foothold. Like,
Right.
They also bring their viewership. They bring their crowd, which is really cool.
Plus, it encourages them to keep going. Just the acknowledgement, like, oh, dang.
Yeah.
My
So
stuff, that's cool.
we're specialized. We can turn an idea into a kit. You can't approach Lego. I mean, you can. They have this ideas thing, but it's by the time they get through your set, it's not even the same thing you submitted.
Yeah.
We are actually like, hey, we can go from idea to kit in 2 months, and we can interact with the community. That we can throw a bridge out there to a different community, a different builder, different ideas, different ways of doing things, even maybe subject matter we wouldn't have considered. So
Right.
we have people sending us ideas for everything from medieval to modern, military to civilian stuff. And we took community ideas for like, hey, what are we going to do for, like, let's just say Black American history, or women's history, something like that. And we took all kinds of community ideas and we made them into a reality. And this was based on feedback we had gotten from not my all the employees at Brickmania and all the community that's out there. So we just took what we would consider the best ideas, or something that we could actually do without getting sued or pantsuit off of us. Over IP purposes, we'll go ahead and do this.
What do you see Brickmania moving forward to in the next year? Because you did a lot already in a year's time, and now that the vid is kind of like chill outing as far as what we could actually do now.
Right.
We have World War Brick coming up.
Well, we're Brick. So we have the stores. We have the 2 grand openings of the stores. So this Saturday is the grand opening in Miramar. Saturday after that, which would be the 16th of April, that's the Mare Island grand opening. And then we're going to be expanding our store in Virginia. We're moving like 100 feet down, like 200 feet down the block, into a new storefront that's like massive. It's like a 6 or 7,000 square foot store.
Like right next to the convention, like
directly next to Brick Fair, Virginia.
Is the move going to be done by the time Brick Fair, Virginia
opens? Oh yeah.
Okay.
we should have the construction done by the end of April. So we're right around the 1st of May, going to drive out with a whole bunch of glass display cases, of course, and set up that store, move it. And then to Minneapolis for World War Brick, which will be the early June. Then we grab a whole van load of people. We're going to drive to Chicago and participate in our first Brick World Chicago following weekend. So like a bunch of us designers are going to go hang out. And the funny thing is, and it's like Brickmania's staff are going to be there on vacation in their own, they're there on their own anyway. So we will have a huge number of Brickmania staff members there. Some of us in official capacity, some of us in our like AFOL capacity, our civilian non-Brickmania, non-work capacity. And then we'll do some event at the Chicago store. And then of course, August is Brick Fair, Virginia. So we're going to have some big hullabaloo grand opening at that store. And each store is going to get its own like 2-pack of custom figures that will be exclusive to the store. So we're doing 2 at the instructors. If you know anything about Miramar, you might be able to figure out what the instructors are, but they will be available at the Miramar grand opening. Have a 2-pack of figures. The commanders will be available at the Mare Island opening, and then we'll have Chicago. All the events will get their own figure packs, and you'll have to.
Is it all related to the same theme? To the same?
No. It's usually related to the geographic location.
Okay,
yeah, we're gonna be at 3 of those, and Shai's also gonna be at 3 of those. That's so exciting.
Yeah, we'll have to figure something out from GHQ. We don't know yet what we're gonna do for that. So
damn, now I really have to go to Virginia.
Yeah, Virginia's worth going to. I mean, it's a different vibe than Brick World Chicago. They're both awesome events. It's a different crowd.
Yeah, I definitely. Maybe. I mean, I'm already spending a grip load going to take my family to both two conventions within 2 weeks. But if it's in the cards, in Virginia, go fund me. Get me to Virginia.
Yeah. Well, we got to get some more commercial success for this Cali Brick.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. I mean, we love doing it. We get to talk to like different people every week. Within or without the community, like it's pretty dope.
Yeah. Well, there's other bloggers out there they're getting sponsored. They're making their way, doing fun things. I hear that the Beyond the Brick guys are in Dubai right now checking out a Lego store. Their Lego
handlings. Good job.
Yeah.
So like, we asked them when they were on here, like, would you want Lego to touch military?
Yeah. What did they say?
And they publicly said, well, although it would be cool, we do not want to put Brickmania out of business.
Boom.
Good for them.
Which in agreement, I do support that answer because I would feel the same way, and I already know Lego wouldn't do it justice.
Yeah, definitely. Not the way you guys do it.
They'll scale down an Osprey.
Well,
scale it up.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to speak ill will about Lego, but they are a toy company, and they're price point driven.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
If they were able to do like add military to their like sort of AFOL line, their high end creator sets, I think they could do a decent job on it. I think they would.
Oh yeah, of course. Which this is more for Ninja and Claire. Would you guys pay more for printed pieces in a Lego set?
We already do.
If it were to right now, all the Speed Champion sets are $20 a piece. Would you spend $28 if they were all printed pieces as opposed to stickers?
Yeah,
damn,
absolutely.
That's tough because I don't know. I don't put the stickers on mine, so then I don't have that option.
Like
that's tough.
You already know it looks dope with the stickers though. So like if they were printed,
I see where you're coming from though. Yeah, I would pay for prints over stickers.
Especially if you're like, let's say you were to invest into like the Millennium Falcon, or like Diagon Alley for you Harry Potter fans who had sticker sheets upon sticker sheets upon sticker sheets. Like, would you spend another $150 to $200 for just prints for all those pieces? You're already spending $500.
I don't not like stickers. Like, I think stickers are great. They add a lot of variety. They're fun for mock building. Like, I'm not like anti-stickers, so I don't know if I'm the right person to ask.
I think it depends on what your purpose of buying that set is. So,
right.
If you're buying one set to permanently put on display, and that's all you care about is I'm building. I bought this jet fighter, and I'm only going to build the jet fighter, and it's going to go on a stand, and it's going to go in my glass display case alongside my expensive China plates or something. I would want the printing.
Yeah.
If I was buying a set that I could just go down to the Lego store or Target or Walmart and buy 10 of these things, I would be really pissed if all the pieces were printed, because then it makes it less versatile for me to, I'll build one, and then now I want like a whole bunch of window pieces, but every window piece now has a printing on it instead of a sticker.
I would definitely affect the mocking.
Yeah.
So if I were to buy a Brickmania kit, I guess I would want prints, because it's going to be on display, right?
Yeah.
It's also like at a certain price point. It's a different product. You're building like it's like if you're viewing it as art, or if you're viewing it as like more of a final model, you're not viewing it as like the build experience. I mean, the build experience is obviously part of it, but it's not the same. It's not this.
Exactly.
These things aren't being sold to be taken apart and like make other alt builds with them, so it's like,
Exactly.
So for like the Millennium Falcon or like the AT-AT or something like that, like you would be okay to pay more.
I would pay more, yeah.
Well, we do that. Like the modulars don't have print or don't have stickers anymore. They're printed. They are made to still be played with. Like you can take the levels off and like put figures on display and stuff, but they are, very much like an adult driven thing. Like the Falcon and the AT-AT, those big things don't make any sense to me to have stickers. But
do they have stickers?
No, they do for the plates, but I mean, not necessarily. Okay. It's just more of a what if type of question, like maybe the Titanic or something that's obviously meant to be displayed. Most of like my Brickmania sets, like my kids do not play with those. Not because I say don't play with them. It's just they're not attracted to them whatsoever. They'll go to the city, destroy that thing like Godzilla, and then I have to go bricklink pieces to get the Ninjago City back in order. But like the military stuff, I don't ever break down unless I'm putting it back right into the box. It's like the only thing that I will break down, put in its box, and leave it there. As opposed to all the Lego sets, I toss out the boxes, I toss out all the instructions. I have no intention of like destroying it until my kids destroy it, and then it goes into the parts bin.
But then some people do, like when I had fewer Lego sets, I was very much like, this is a model, and I kept the figures with the thing. I kept every extra piece with it. A lot of people do that. So I don't know, to each their own. But like, I think it makes sense to like, I think we're already paying like the cost for prints is included in the Lego set. It's like or in the Brickmania kit. It's like it's part of it. It's just it makes sense.
If you're buying a Lego set, the average price for the Lego set is going to be the parts in there like between 5 and 15 cents, depending on the theme and the set. And that's sort of a fixed price. You expect that price point. When you're buying a Brickmania set, sometimes the price is over 50 cents a part. You're not buying it because it's a good parts pack. You're buying it because you want to build that final model.
Exactly.
It's a totally different.
So we pretty much hit everything we were going to talk about relatively quickly. But since we're towards the end of it, is there anything you want to plug in for the company coming up? I know you just mentioned some of it, but if any last words for the stores coming up, events, on any of that jazz?
We do have on Saturday the 9th. We're definitely gonna. That's tomorrow. If you're hearing this as the day it comes out, we are having our grand opening in Miramar. So that's let's see the address: 7340 Miramar Road. I should know this by now. I've sent so many packages there. Been there so many times. It's going to be 10 a.m. opening time. If you want to get some of the limited edition figures, come early. There's going to be specials. I think it's like you can get like a 20% off of a Brickmania kit over $100 or more, which can be a significant amount of money if you're buying one of our top shelf kits. Yep. There will be actually some site-wide specials that whole week too, kind of like our grand opening spring sale. But that's definitely going to happen. The store is really stocked up and has a lot of stuff that's sold out online. We started saving and started putting inventory aside for these stores back in December. So there's a lot of things that you're just not going to be able to buy online or sold out of production in our stores. The following Saturday is the same thing happening at Mare Island. There'll be a bunch of, I should mention, there'll be a bunch of Brickmania designers out there. I'll be there. Lando will be there. Mary will be there. John Canepa, some of the celebrities and then the people that actually make the behind the scenes of Brickmania work will be there too. So, some of our operations people will be there. And then the Mare Island, same thing, the following Saturday, the 16th. That's at 10 a.m. If you really want to be there for something fun, we're having a ribbon cutting with the mayor of Vallejo at 9 a.m. So an hour before the official opening, we'll be cutting a giant ribbon with those huge pairs of scissors.
Nice.
Yeah, we haven't done that since we opened up our Mall of America store, and the local Chamber of Commerce showed up.
Can we look forward to anything else coming up within the next couple months as far as events? And you just
World War Brick. That's our event. That's I think it's June, like the 10th, 11th, 12th.
the weekend before Father's Day. Yeah.
It's the weekend before Father's Day, because every Father's Day is Brick World, Chicago, and we've accidentally put World War Brick on the same weekend as Brick World in the past. We try not to do that. We try to at least do it at least a week before. So yeah, we'll be. That's for us. It'll be like a week and a half long event, because we'll have people coming in from out of town. Some of our designers from Europe, like ASAP, will be coming in for World War Brick, and Jasta, Andrea will be coming in. Simon from the UK. People are still like, "Hey, I'm going to show up anyway. Like, I'm coming." So it's going to be like a big cast of characters. George will be in town. Yeah, it'll be a huge party. And if people haven't been to we haven't done a World War Brick in Minneapolis since 2016. The neighborhood has changed. There is like tap rooms and tasting. There's a right down the hall from us. There's actually a distillery. So it's
not rough anymore.
it never was really that rough, but you used to have to walk to go somewhere. And now it's like, I mean, you have to walk far, have to drive to go to get like, decent food. Now there's stuff, you're walking distance. The neighborhood is totally changed. So.
Nice. All right, cool. Well, thanks again for hopping on another episode of Cali Brick Clique. Nice to have you officially on the channel now.
But and welcome to the West Coast.
And welcome to the West Coast.
Excited.
I drive somewhere and buy something if I need it.
Yeah, well, I plan on being on the West Coast a lot. I'm from Minnesota. I wasn't born here, but I've lived here all my life. My wife was born here, and she's done with Minnesota. So, and it's not because Minnesota sucks. It's just because if you've been here in February, or January, or February, or March, it is cold, and if you're affected by seasonal, weather and all that stuff, it's not a place.
Oh man, you are moving to San Diego. I see it now. That is like literally the best weather in the whole world.
Staff loved it. It was like warm in December.
I know, you're like, what is this? Yeah.
That's been a dream of mine since I was a teenager. So now I have an excuse.
Nice, yes.
So there'll be the West Coast, Brickmania's West Coast Design Bureau will be popping up somewhere. I don't know if I can afford San Diego, but somewhere on the West Coast.
Hey, anyone on the West Coast, I'll just be knocking on your door to chill. So
yeah, there'll be a huge collection to come and play with.
Awesome. All right. Well, with that being said, does anyone have any final words before we say peace? No? All right, then let's roll that music, guys. Thank you again. Peace.
Thank you.
Thanks. That was dope. That was good. I was hoping to address some stuff that I knew people would ask, and you asked them.
Oh, good. I think there's a lot of misconceptions, especially about our pricing.